The massive Federation ship moved slowly toward Earth's orbital station. Inside, Ambassador Zelttech checked his files one more time. Today was important. Today, the Galactic Federation would decide if humans could join their alliance. Zelttech was a tall, green-skinned alien with 4 arms and eyes that could see in many colors. He had done this job for 200 years. He had visited over 50 worlds. Each time the process was the same. Check their defenses. Look at their weapons. Make sure they could protect themselves and help protect others. But Earth's file was strange. Very strange. The ship docked at the human space station. Zelttech walked through the airlock with his team of 3 other aliens. They all wore their formal Federation uniforms. The humans waiting for them looked very different. A woman with short black hair stepped forward. She wore a simple blue uniform with some metal badges on it. "Welcome to Earth Station 1, she said with a smile. "I'm Captain Sarah Chen. I'll be your guide today." Zelttech bowed in the Federation way. "Thank you, Captain Chen. I am Ambassador Zelttech. We are here to review Earth's readiness for Federation membership." Captain Chen nodded. "Of course. Would you like to start with our defensive systems?" "Yes, that would be perfect," Zelttech said. He opened his datapad. Every world he had visited had amazing defenses. Huge energy shields that could stop asteroids. Massive space cannons that could destroy entire fleets. Robot armies that never got tired or scared. Captain Chen led them to a large window that looked out at Earth. The blue and green planet spun slowly below them. Zelttech looked for the usual things. Shield generators should be visible from space. Defense platforms should be floating around the planet like metal moons. He saw nothing. "Where are your planetary shields?" Zelttech asked. "We don't have any," Captain Chen said. Zelttech's 4 eyes blinked in surprise. "No shields? What about orbital defense platforms?" "None of those either." "Automated defense grids? Missile satellites? Early warning systems?" "No, no, and no," Captain Chen said. She was still smiling. Zelttech looked at his team. They looked back at him with confused expressions. Dr. Vexta, a blue insect-like alien, whispered, "Perhaps they hide their defenses." "Captain Chen," Zelttech said slowly, "how do you protect your world from attack?" Captain Chen's smile got a little bigger. "We have a different way of thinking about protection, Ambassador. We don't believe in defensive systems." "You don't believe in them?" Zelttech felt his translator working hard to make sense of her words. "That's right. Human military thinking is based on a simple idea. The best defense is a good offense." Zelttech's datapad showed him Earth's population. 8 billion humans. All living on one planet with no defenses. How are they still alive? "But Captain," said Commander Rixel, a tall gray alien with no hair, "every civilized world has defenses. Without them, any enemy could destroy you." Captain Chen nodded. "You're absolutely right, Commander. Any enemy could try to destroy us." She paused. The key word is try. The aliens looked at each other again. Something was wrong here. Either humans were too stupid to build defenses or too weak to build them, or... "Captain Chen," Zelttech said, "may I ask how many wars Earth has lost?" "Lost?" Captain Chen looked surprised. "We've never lost a war. Never. Not once." Dr. Vexta made a clicking sound with her mouth parts. "How many wars have you fought?" Captain Chen thought for a moment. "That depends on how you count. We've had many wars among ourselves. As for wars with other species," she smiled again, "well, that's harder to count." "Why is it harder to count?" Zelttech asked. "Because most of them ended very quickly. The Federation team spent the next hour looking at Earth's military files. What they found made no sense. Earth had no defensive systems at all. But they had something else. They had the largest offensive military in this part of the galaxy. Humans had ships that could travel faster than most species thought possible. They had weapons that could crack planets in half. They had soldiers trained to fight in any environment, and they had them in huge numbers." "Captain Chen," Zelttech said, "your military budget is enormous, but it's all spent on attack ships and weapons. Nothing on defense, and that's correct. Why?" Captain Chen walked to another window. This one showed a view of space filled with human ships, hundreds of them, all painted in dark colors, all bristling with weapons. "Ambassador, let me ask you something. On your homeworld, do you lock your doors at night?" "Yes, of course. Why?" "To keep criminals out. And if criminals still got in, then our security forces would stop them." Captain Chen nodded. "We think bigger. Instead of locking our door and waiting for criminals to try to break in, we make sure criminals don't want to come to our neighborhood at all. How do you do that? By making sure everyone knows what happens to criminals who bother us? Zelttech felt a chill run down his spine. What happens to them? Captain Chen's smile disappeared. For the first time, she looked serious. They stopped being a problem. The silence in the room lasted for a long time. Finally, Commander Rixel spoke. Captain, are you saying that humans attack first? We prefer the term preemptive peacekeeping, Captain Chen said. If someone is planning to hurt us, we hurt them first. If someone builds weapons to use against us, we destroy those weapons before they can be used. If someone threatens our people, we make sure they can never threaten anyone again. Dr. Vexta's voice was very quiet. How do you know who is planning to attack you? We watch. We listen, we learn. Humans are very good at gathering information. Zelttech looked at his datapad again. He started searching through Federation records. Hostile species that had gone quiet. Aggressive empires that had suddenly stopped expanding. Warlike cultures that had mysteriously become peaceful. How many of those changes were because of humans? Captain Chen, he said, would you be willing to show us how your military operates? Of course, she said. Her smile came back. We'd be happy to demonstrate our approach to galactic security. When would you like to see a training exercise? As soon as possible. Excellent. I'll arrange something for tomorrow. You'll get to see how humans maintain peace in our part of space. As the Federation team was led to their guest quarters, Zelttech couldn't stop thinking about Captain Chen's words. Humans didn't build walls to keep enemies out. They made sure there were no enemies left to keep out. He looked out at the human ships again. They weren't guarding Earth. They were ready to go somewhere else, ready to visit anyone who might be thinking of causing trouble. For the first time in his long career, Zelttech wondered if the Federation was evaluating the wrong species. Maybe the question wasn't whether humans were ready to join the Federation. Maybe the question was whether the Federation was ready for humans. The next morning, Captain Chen met the Federation team in the station's observation deck. The room had huge windows that showed empty space in all directions. At least it looked empty. Good morning, Ambassador Zelttech, Captain Chen said. Are you ready for our demonstration? Yes, Captain. We're very curious to see how humans conduct military operations. Captain Chen pressed a button on her wrist device. Admiral Hassan, please begin the exercise. A deep voice came through the speakers. Exercise beginning now, Captain. All units are in position. Zelttech looked out the windows. He still saw nothing but stars and darkness. Where are your ships? Dr. Vexta asked. They're there, Captain Chen said. Human ships are designed to be invisible until we want them to be seen. Suddenly, space lit up with thousands of lights. Ships appeared everywhere, as if they had been hiding behind invisible curtains. Big ships, small ships, medium ships, all of them appeared at the same time. Commander Rixel made a gasping sound. How many ships do you have? This is just Battle Group 7, Captain Chen said. We have 23 battle groups. 23? Zelttech felt his 4 hearts beating faster. How many ships is that? About 40,000 combat vessels, plus support ships, supply ships, medical ships, and special operations craft. The Federation team stood in shocked silence. Most species had fleets of a few hundred ships. Some large empires had a few thousand. 40,000 was impossible. Today's exercise is called Rapid Response, Captain Chen explained. We're practicing how to deal with a hostile force that threatens human space. On the screens around the room, Admiral Hassan appeared. He was an older human with gray hair and dark skin. His uniform was covered with colorful ribbons and medals. Good morning, Ambassador Zelttech, the Admiral said. I hope you find today's exercise educational. We'll be simulating a response to an alien invasion fleet. An invasion fleet? Zelttech asked. Yes. Let's say a hostile species has decided to attack human colonies. They have assembled a large fleet and are moving toward our space. How do we respond? Computer voices began speaking around the room. Hostile fleet detected. Size unknown. Distance 500 light-years. Intention assumed hostile. Admiral Hassan spoke calmly. All units prepare for deep strike protocol. Target hostile staging area. Rules of engagement. Total elimination. Zelttech watched as the human fleet began to move. But they weren't moving toward Earth or human colonies. They were moving away from human space entirely. Admiral, Zelttech said, where are your ships going? To end the threat, Admiral Hassan replied, Battle Group 7 will jump to the enemy staging area. Their job is to destroy the hostile fleet before it can attack any human worlds. But they haven't attacked yet, Dr. Vexta pointed out. Admiral Hassan looked confused. Why would we wait for them to attack? That would put human lives at risk. The exercise continued. The human fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel. According to the computers, they would reach the imaginary enemy in 6 hours. The plan was simple. Find the hostile fleet and destroy it completely. What if they want to negotiate? Commander Rixel asked. Captain Chen looked surprised. Negotiate? Why would we negotiate with someone who wants to hurt us? Maybe they have good reasons for being angry. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Commander, Admiral Hassan said, in our experience, when someone builds a fleet to attack you, talking won't change their mind. Action will. The simulation showed the human fleet arriving at the enemy position. The computers described a massive space battle. The enemy fleet was shown in red dots on the screen. There were thousands of red dots. The human fleet was shown in blue dots. There were fewer blue dots, but they moved faster and hit harder. Within 2 hours of simulation time, all the red dots were gone. Exercise complete, Admiral Hassan announced. Enemy fleet destroyed. Human casualties minimal. Enemy survivors none. Zelttech stared at the screen. None? No survivors at all? Survivors can rebuild, Captain Chen explained. Survivors can seek revenge. Survivors can tell other enemies how to fight us better. It's cleaner to not have survivors. The Federation team was quiet for a long time. Finally, Dr. Vexta spoke. What if the enemy fleet was just passing through your space? What if they weren't really planning to attack? Admiral Hassan's face appeared on the screen again. Doctor, if an armed fleet enters human space without permission, we assume they are hostile. If they were peaceful, they would have asked permission first. And if they didn't know they needed permission, ignorance is not an excuse for threatening human lives. Captain Chen added, We've learned that it's better to be too careful than not careful enough. If we make a mistake and destroy a peaceful fleet, we apologize to their government and pay compensation. But human lives are never at risk. Zelttech looked at his notes. Captain, how often do you conduct these exercises? Every day. Different battle groups, different scenarios. Yesterday, Battle Group 12 practiced destroying a planet that was building superweapons. Tomorrow, Battle Group 3 will practice eliminating a species that has been sending threatening messages. You practice destroying entire planets? Captain Chen nodded. Sometimes that's the only way to make sure a threat is completely eliminated. The observation deck went quiet again. Outside, the human fleet was returning to its invisible positions. 40,000 ships ready to appear anywhere in the galaxy within hours. Admiral Hassan spoke one more time. Ambassador Zelttech, do you have any questions about human military doctrine? Zelttech had many questions, but he wasn't sure he wanted to hear the answers. Admiral, how do you decide who is a threat? Simple. If they can hurt humans and they might want to hurt humans, they're a threat. That seems like a very broad definition. It's kept us alive. Dr. Vexta asked, what if a species becomes a threat later? What if they're peaceful now but might become hostile in the future? Admiral Hassan smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Doctor, we have people whose job is to predict future threats. When they identify a species that might become dangerous, we watch them very carefully. And if they start to become dangerous, we stop them before they become dangerous. Captain Chen walked to the window and looked out at space. Ambassador, every species in this part of the galaxy lives in peace. There are no wars, no conflicts. No one attacks anyone else, and that sounds wonderful, Zelttech said. It is wonderful. And it's wonderful because everyone knows that starting a war means getting a visit from humans. No one wants a visit from humans. Zelttech looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, species were living their lives, building their cities, raising their children, and somewhere else humans were watching them, deciding if they were threats. Captain Chen, he said, when do we see your next demonstration? Tomorrow, Ambassador. Tomorrow, we'll show you how we gather intelligence on potential threats. As the Federation team left the observation deck, Zelttech realized something that made his skin crawl. The humans weren't just showing off their military power. They were showing the Federation what would happen if the Federation ever became a threat. The message was clear: play nice or disappear. On the third day, Captain Chen took the Federation team to Earth itself. They rode in a small shuttle down to the planet's surface. Zelttech looked out the window as they descended. Earth looked beautiful and peaceful. Green forests, blue oceans, white clouds. It was hard to believe this innocent-looking world was home to the galaxy's most dangerous military. The shuttle landed at a place called the Human Military History Museum. It was a huge building made of white stone, with tall columns and many windows. Inside, the walls were covered with pictures, weapons, and artifacts from human wars. "Welcome to our history," Captain Chen said as they walked through the entrance. "Every species learns from their past. This is where we learned our approach to warfare." The first room showed very old human weapons: stone axes, metal swords, wooden spears, simple tools for simple battles. "Humans have been fighting for thousands of years," Captain Chen explained. "At first we fought like most species do. We built walls to keep enemies out. We made armor to protect ourselves. We created fortresses and castles." Dr. Vexta looked at a display showing a massive stone castle. "This looks very strong. Why did you stop building defenses like this?" Captain Chen pressed a button. The display changed to show the same castle but broken and burning. "Because walls always fall. Every fortress can be broken. Every defense can be overcome. It just takes time." They moved to the next room. Here the weapons were more advanced. Guns, cannons, explosives. The pictures showed larger battles with more soldiers. "As humans got smarter, our wars got bigger," Captain Chen said. "We learned something important. The side that attacks first usually wins. The side that attacks hardest always wins." Commander Rixel studied a picture of human soldiers attacking a fortress. "But surely defense has some advantages." "Yes," Captain Chen agreed. "If you're only fighting one battle, but wars are not single battles. They are many battles. And the side that can choose when and where to fight those battles has a huge advantage." The next room showed even more advanced weapons: flying machines, tanks, missiles. But the most interesting displays were the ones showing human strategy. "Here's where we learned our most important lesson," Captain Chen said, stopping in front of a large display. It showed a map of Earth with arrows pointing in all directions. "This was our last great war among ourselves," she explained. "One group of humans tried to conquer the world. They built massive defenses, underground bunkers that could survive any attack, fortress cities that could hold out for years." "What happened?" Zelttech asked. "The other humans didn't attack the fortresses. They ignored them completely." "Ignored them?" Captain Chen smiled. "The attacking humans went around the defenses. They destroyed everything that made the fortresses useful: supply lines, communication centers, factories, farms. Soon the people in the fortresses were trapped in their own defenses." She pressed another button. The display showed the fortresses, now surrounded by empty, destroyed land. The defenders had two choices: come out and fight, or stay inside and starve. Either way, they lost. The Federation team moved through more rooms, seeing more advanced human weapons: nuclear bombs that could destroy cities, space-based weapons that could crack continents. But the pattern was always the same. Humans learned to strike first, strike fast, and strike completely. "Here's where human space warfare began," Captain Chen said as they entered a new section. The displays here showed early human space battles. "Our first war in space was against humans who had colonized Titan, one of Saturn's moons. They wanted independence from Earth. They built orbital defense platforms around Titan, missile satellites, energy shields, automated gun platforms." "What did Earth do?" Dr. Vexta asked. "We didn't attack Titan at all," Captain Chen said. "Instead, we attacked every supply ship heading to Titan, every communication satellite, every mining station that sent resources to Titan. Within 6 months, Titan's defenses were useless because they had no power, no ammunition, and no food. The defenders surrendered. Eventually. But we learned something important. It's easier to destroy your enemy's ability to fight than to destroy your enemy's defenses." They moved to displays showing the Martian. "Horsier Mars tried to break away from Earth too," Captain Chen explained. "They learned from Titan's mistake. Instead of just building defenses, they built their own factories, their own supply chains, their own everything." "That sounds smarter," Commander Rixel said. "It was smarter, so we had to be smarter too." The display showed the timeline of the Martian War. It lasted exactly 6 hours and 14 minutes. 6 hours? Zelttech asked in amazement. Human fleets jumped directly to Mars, but they didn't attack the military targets. They didn't attack the defenses. They didn't attack the factories. What did they attack? The leadership. Every government building, every military headquarters, every communication center. Within 6 hours, Mars had no one left who could give orders or make decisions. Dr. Vexta made her clicking sound again. What happened to the Martian military? They had guns and ships and soldiers, but no one to tell them what to do. Some surrendered immediately. Others fought each other. Most just went home. The next section showed humanity's first contact with alien species, pictures of strange creatures, alien ships, and diplomatic meetings. Our first alien contact was with a species called the HFY, Captain Chen said. They were peaceful traders. We became friends. That's nice, Zelttech said, feeling relieved. Yes, but then we met the Vorth Empire. The pictures changed to show large, aggressive-looking aliens with too many teeth and claws. The Vorth had conquered 12 species. They demanded that humans surrender and become their slaves. What did humans do? Captain Chen's expression became very serious. We asked them politely to leave human space, and did they? No, they laughed at us. They said humans were weak and soft. They said they would enjoy enslaving us. The display showed a timeline of the human-Vorth conflict. It lasted 3 weeks. What happened? Commander Rixel asked, though he seemed afraid to hear the answer. We visited every Vorth world at the same time. Every planet, every moon, every space station, all on the same day. Visited? We made sure the Vorth Empire stopped existing. The room became very quiet. Zelttech looked at the display more carefully. It showed 12 Vorth worlds before the war. After the war, it showed 12 dead planets, all of them. Dr. Vexta whispered, all of them. We told them to leave human space alone. They refused. They made their choice, but entire worlds, billions of beings. Captain Chen nodded sadly. Yes, but they would have enslaved trillions of humans if we had let them. Sometimes you have to choose between your people and other people. Humans always choose our people. The final section of the museum showed recent human military operations. But these displays were different. Instead of big battles and destroyed planets, they showed mostly empty space. This represents the last 50 years of human military action, Captain Chen explained. But there's nothing here, Zelttech said. Exactly. No wars, no battles, no conflicts. Why? Captain Chen smiled. Because everyone learned about the Vorth. She gestured to a wall covered with pictures of different alien species. Every intelligent species in this part of the galaxy knows what happens when you threaten humans. The Krell were building planet-killer weapons. They stopped building them and sent us an apology. The Zephyrians were planning to attack human colonies. They changed their minds and sent us gifts instead. How did you know what they were planning? Zelttech asked. We watch everyone, Ambassador. We listen to everyone. We know what every species is thinking before they know it themselves. As they left the museum, Zelttech's mind was full of questions. Captain Chen, don't you ever feel bad about destroying entire species? Captain Chen stopped walking and looked at him seriously. Ambassador, every human child grows up safe. Every human family can sleep peacefully. Every human colony can build and grow without fear. Is that worth the price? I think it is. But what about mercy? What about forgiveness? We are merciful, Captain Chen said. We give every species a choice. They can live in peace or they can threaten us. Most choose peace. Those who choose threats, well, they don't get to make any more choices. As they walked back to the shuttle, Zelttech realized something that chilled him to his bones. The humans weren't just telling him about their history. They were explaining their philosophy. They were making sure he understood the rules. The rule was simple. Don't threaten humans and you can live forever. Threaten humans and you stop existing. Looking up at the peaceful blue sky, Zelttech wondered how many species had learned this lesson the hard way. On the 4th day, something changed. Captain Chen seemed more relaxed, more friendly. She brought the Federation team to a comfortable meeting room with soft chairs and warm lighting. Coffee and snacks were waiting for them. Today is different, she said with a genuine smile. Today we talk about the future instead of the past. Zelttech felt relieved. Maybe humans were not as dangerous as they seemed. Maybe the previous days had been meant to impress them, to show off human strength. We've been thinking about your application to join the Federation, Captain Chen said. It's a big decision for both sides. Yes, Zelttech agreed. The Federation has strict requirements for membership. Military strength, economic stability, cultural development. Of course, and we want to make sure we understand what Federation membership means for humans. Dr. Vexta opened her datapad. Captain Chen, we've reviewed your military capabilities. They are impressive, but we're curious about your current operations. Current operations? Yes, what is your military doing right now today? Captain Chen pressed a button on the table. Admiral Hassan, could you join us, please? A few minutes later, Admiral Hassan entered the room. He looked tired, as if he had been working all night. Good morning, Ambassador, he said. Captain Chen tells me you want to know about our current operations. Yes, Admiral. The Federation likes to understand what our potential members are actually doing with their military forces. Admiral Hassan sat down and opened his own datapad. Of course. Let me share our current threat assessment with you. The room's main screen lit up, showing a map of local space. Hundreds of star systems were marked with different colored dots. Green dots are peaceful species, Admiral Hassan explained. Blue dots are Federation members. Yellow dots are species we're watching. Red dots are active threats. Zelttech looked at the map. Most dots were green or blue, but there were quite a few yellow dots and several red ones. How many species are you watching? Commander Rixel asked. Currently, we have active surveillance on 47 species. Surveillance? Intelligence gathering. We monitor their communications, track their ship movements, assess their military development. Dr. Vexta made her clicking sound. Is that legal? Admiral Hassan looked confused. Legal according to whom? We're protecting human lives. That makes it necessary. Captain Chen added. We've learned that the best way to prevent threats is to know about them before they become dangerous. But how do you decide which species to watch? Zelttech asked. Admiral Hassan changed the display. Now it showed detailed files on different alien species. We have criteria. Species with aggressive histories. Species developing advanced weapons. Species with territorial expansion patterns. Species that make hostile statements about humans or Federation members. Zelttech looked at the files more carefully. Some of the species listed were ones he recognized. Peaceful traders. Quiet researchers. Minor civilizations that barely had space travel. Admiral, he said slowly, the Kelthani are on your watch list. They're peaceful scholars. They've never fought a war. The Kelthani have been developing quantum computing systems, Admiral Hassan replied. Quantum computers can break most encryption systems. They could use them to hack our security. But they're using the computers to study star formations. That's what they say they're using them for. Dr. Vexta pointed to another name. The Ylthari are here too. They're artists and musicians. The Ylthari have been asking questions about human colony locations, Captain Chen said. They claim they want to perform concerts for human settlers. But why do they need detailed maps of our defensive positions? Maybe because they don't want to accidentally fly into military zones? Captain Chen and Admiral Hassan exchanged glances. Maybe, Captain Chen said. But we prefer to be cautious. The screen changed again. Now it showed recent human military actions. Over the past year, we've conducted 17 preemptive operations, Admiral Hassan said. Preemptive operations? Zelttech felt his stomach twisting. Yes, we identified threats and eliminated them before they could harm humans. The list appeared on screen. 17 different species or organizations. Next to each name was a status. Neutralized. Admiral, Zelttech said quietly. What does neutralized mean? It depends on the level of threat. Sometimes it means we destroyed their weapons. Sometimes it means we removed their leadership. Sometimes it means we eliminated the entire threat. Eliminated the entire threat? Admiral Hassan nodded. The Krovar were developing biological weapons designed to kill humans specifically. We couldn't risk letting them continue. So you destroyed their weapons? We destroyed their ability to create biological weapons forever. Zelttech stared at the screen. The Krovar had been a small species of only a few million individuals. Where are the Krovar now? They're not, Captain Chen said simply. The room went silent. Finally, Commander Rixel spoke. How do you decide when to take action? We have threat assessment teams, Admiral Hassan explained. They analyze each species and situation. If the threat level reaches critical, we act. What makes a threat critical? Capability plus intent plus opportunity, Captain Chen said. If a species can hurt humans, wants to hurt humans, and has the chance to hurt humans, they become a critical threat. But how do you know they want to hurt humans? Dr. Vexta asked. Admiral Hassan changed the screen again. Now it showed intelligence reports, intercepted communications, and behavioral analysis charts. We monitor communications looking for hostile statements. We track resource allocation looking for military buildup. We analyze expansion patterns looking for aggressive behavior. We study cultural development looking for violent tendencies. Zelttech looked at the reports. They were incredibly detailed. The humans knew what dozens of species were doing, thinking, and planning. "This is remarkable intelligence gathering," he said. "Thank you," Captain Chen said. "We take security seriously." "How do you gather all this information?" "Multiple methods. Electronic surveillance, human agents, cooperative intelligence sharing, cultural infiltration." "Human agents?" "We have humans living among many alien species. They report back on local conditions, attitudes, and potential threats." Dr. Vexta's voice was very small. "Are there human agents among the Federation?" Captain Chen smiled. "I can't answer that question, Doctor." Admiral Hassan stood up. "Ambassador Zelttech, let me show you something that might interest you." He led them to another screen that showed a different kind of map. This one showed Federation space. "The Federation has been very peaceful for the last 20 years, he said. "Yes, that's true," Zelttech agreed. "Do you know why?" Zelttech thought about it. "Good diplomacy? Strong leadership? Mutual cooperation? All of those help," Admiral Hassan said. "But the main reason is this. The map changed to show human patrol routes through Federation space. The routes covered everything. Every trade lane, every border, every major system. Human ships patrol Federation space?" Commander Rixol asked. "We patrol everywhere," Admiral Hassan said. "We watch for threats to any peaceful species, not just humans." "Why?" Captain Chen answered. "Because threats to our neighbors can become threats to us. It's easier to stop problems when they're small." Zelttech studied the patrol routes. "How long have you been doing this?" "Since shortly after first contact with the Federation," Admiral Hassan said. "About 15 years. The Federation doesn't know about these patrols. The Federation doesn't need to know. We're not interfering with anyone. We're just watching." Dr. Vexta made a calculation on her data pad. "Admiral, these patrol routes would require thousands of ships." "Yes. And crews for those ships." "Yes. And support systems. And supplies and maintenance." "Yes." "The cost must be enormous." Admiral Hassan nodded. "About 30% of our total military budget." Zelttech felt dizzy. "You spend 30% of your military budget protecting species that don't even know you're protecting them?" "We spend 30% of our military budget maintaining galactic stability," Captain Chen corrected. "It's a good investment. Stable neighbors are peaceful neighbors." As the day continued, more uncomfortable truths emerged. The humans had detailed files on every Federation member. They knew the location of every military base, every government facility, every major population center. They had contingency plans for every possible threat, including threats from Federation members themselves. "Do you have plans for attacking the Federation?" Zelttech asked directly. Admiral Hassan didn't hesitate. "We have plans for every possibility, Ambassador. That's what good military planning requires. Including plans for destroying Federation worlds. If necessary, yes," Captain Chen added, "but we hope it never becomes necessary. We like the Federation. Most Federation members are peaceful and reasonable. Most? Some are more ambitious than others." As the Federation team prepared to leave that day, Zelttech realized that everything had changed. They weren't evaluating humanity for Federation membership. Humanity was evaluating them. The humans had been watching the Federation for years. They knew everything about every member species. They had plans for every situation, and they had the power to enforce those plans. The question wasn't whether humans were ready to join the Federation. The question was whether the Federation was ready to have humanity as a member. Or more frighteningly, whether the Federation was ready to have humanity as an enemy. On the 5th day, Zelttech sat alone in his quarters aboard the Federation ship. He had been awake all night thinking about everything he had learned. His report to the Federation Council was due in a few hours and he still didn't know what to write. How do you tell the most powerful alliance in the galaxy that they might have found their new masters? A soft chime indicated someone was at his door. "Come in," he called. Captain Chen entered carrying a cup of what humans called coffee. She looked as calm and friendly as always. "Good morning, Ambassador. I wanted to check on you before our final meeting." Zelttech looked at her carefully. This small human woman with her simple uniform and gentle smile represented the most dangerous military force he had ever encountered. "Captain Chen," he said, "I have to ask you something directly." "Of course. Are humans planning to conquer the galaxy?" Captain Chen sat down and sipped her coffee. "That's an interesting question. What do you mean by conquer? Take control? Rule over other species? Build an empire?" "No," she said simply. "Humans have no interest in ruling other species." Zelttech felt a little relief. "Then what do you want?" "We want to be left alone to live our lives in peace. And we want our neighbors to live their lives in peace too." "And if your neighbors don't want to live in peace?" Captain Chen's smile faded slightly. "Then they stop being our neighbors." 2 hours later, the final meeting began. The Federation team sat on one side of a large conference table. Captain Chen, Admiral Hassan, and several other human officials sat on the other side. "Ambassador Zelttech," Admiral Hassan said, "have you reached a decision about humanity's application for Federation membership?" Zelttech looked at his notes one more time. 5 days of demonstrations, explanations, and revelations. 5 days of learning that humanity was nothing like what the Federation expected. "Admiral," he said, "the Federation Council will need to review all of our findings, but I can tell you that humanity exceeds our military requirements by a considerable margin." "That's good to hear. However, we have some concerns about human military philosophy." Captain Chen leaned forward. "What concerns?" "Your approach to threat elimination is very thorough. We prefer to think of it as effective." Dr. Vexta spoke up. "Captain, some Federation members might be uncomfortable with humanity's preemptive policies." "Which members?" Admiral Hassan asked. Dr. Vexta hesitated. Zelttech realized that she was afraid to answer. If she named specific Federation members, would humans consider them potential threats? "Admiral," Zelttech said quickly, "some species believe in diplomatic solutions to conflicts." "So do we," Admiral Hassan replied. "Diplomacy is always our first choice. And if diplomacy fails, then we move to our second choice, which is making sure the problem never happens again." Commander Rixel had been quiet for most of the meeting. Now he asked a question that surprised everyone. "What happens if the Federation votes against human membership?" The room went silent. Captain Chen and Admiral Hassan looked at each other. "That would be the Federation's choice," Captain Chen said carefully. "But what would humans do?" "Continue living our lives," Admiral Hassan said. "Continue protecting our people. Continue maintaining stability in our region of space. With or without Federation approval?" Yes, Zelttech understood. Humans didn't need Federation membership. They were already doing everything a Federation member would do and more. They were protecting their own space, monitoring potential threats, and maintaining peace through strength. The Federation needed humanity more than humanity needed the Federation. "There is one more thing," Captain Chen said. "We want to make sure the Federation understands our position clearly." "What position?" "Humanity considers the Federation to be a valuable ally and a force for peace in the galaxy. We hope to work together for many years." "That sounds positive." "Yes, but we also want to be clear about our expectations." Admiral Hassan opened a file on his datapad. "The Federation currently has 847 member species. We've analyzed the military capabilities, political systems, and cultural values of all of them." "All of them?" Dr. Vexta asked weakly. "All of them. Most are peaceful, reasonable species that want to live in harmony with their neighbors. We have no concerns about them." "And the others?" 43 Federation members have concerning military buildups. 17 have made aggressive statements about non-Federation species. 8 have territorial expansion plans that could threaten human space. Zelttech felt his 4 hearts beating faster. "What are you saying, Admiral?" "We're saying that humanity expects the Federation to remain a peaceful alliance. If any Federation members become aggressive or threatening, we hope the Federation will handle the situation diplomatically. And if the Federation can't handle it diplomatically?" Captain Chen smiled her gentle smile. "Then humanity will handle it our way." The meeting ended an hour later. As the Federation team prepared to leave, Admiral Hassan handed Zelttech a datapad. "This contains our formal application for Federation membership," he said. "But it also contains something else." "What?" "Our offer to serve as the Federation's Strategic Peace Enforcement Division." Zelttech looked at the datapad. "Strategic peace enforcement? When diplomatic solutions fail, someone needs to take action. Humanity is willing to be that someone. Captain Chen added, "We're already doing the job, Ambassador. We're just offering to make it official." 3 days later, Zelttech stood before the Federation Council. Representatives from 847 species filled the massive chamber. He had submitted his report, and now they wanted to hear his recommendation. "Honored counselors," he began, "I have spent 5 days studying humanity's application for membership. I have reviewed their military capabilities, their political system, and their cultural values." The chamber was completely quiet. Humanity exceeds all Federation requirements for membership. Their military is the most advanced I have ever seen. Their technology is beyond anything we currently possess. Their dedication to peaceful resolution of conflicts is absolute. Murmurs of approval came from the audience. However, Zelttech continued, "I must be clear about what humanity's membership means." The murmurs stopped. Humanity does not just want to join the Federation. They want to protect it. They have been protecting it for years without our knowledge or permission. They have prevented dozens of conflicts, eliminated multiple threats, and maintained peace throughout Federation space. "Is this good or bad?" asked Councillor Vithran of the Altarian Republic. "That depends," Zelttech said, "on whether you consider peace to be worth the price." "What price?" "The price is this. Any species that threatens Federation members will cease to exist. Any government that plans aggressive action will be removed. Any military that builds weapons for conquest will be destroyed." The chamber erupted in discussion. Some councillors seemed excited. Others seemed terrified. "Order," called the council president. "Ambassador Zelttech, what is your recommendation?" Zelttech looked around the chamber at hundreds of different species, all of them living in peace, all of them safe from external threats, all of them protected by human ships they didn't even know existed. "I recommend immediate acceptance of humanity's application," he said, "with full membership privileges and the special designation of Strategic Peace Enforcement Partner." The vote was taken immediately. 847 species voted. The result was unanimous. 6 months later, Zelttech sat in his new office on Earth. As the Federation's permanent ambassador to humanity, he had a front-row seat to the new galaxy that was emerging. Peace had broken out everywhere. Species that had been bitter enemies for centuries suddenly discovered the benefits of cooperation. Warlike cultures became interested in art and philosophy. Aggressive empires decided that internal development was more important than external conquest. The transformation was remarkable and completely predictable. When the choice is between peace and extinction, most species choose peace. His communication device chimed. Captain Chen's face appeared on the screen. "Good morning, Ambassador. I have some news for you." "What news, Captain?" "We've identified a new potential threat. A species called the Dakari has been developing planet-destroying weapons in a distant system." Zelttech sighed. "What are your recommendations?" "We've sent them a diplomatic message explaining that planet-destroying weapons are not compatible with galactic peace. We've given them 30 days to dismantle their weapons program. And if they refuse?" Captain Chen's smile was as gentle as always. "Then the Dakari will learn why every other species in the galaxy chose cooperation over conflict." As the communication ended, Zelttech looked out his window at the peaceful Earth below. Humans had created something unprecedented in galactic history. Peace through strength, cooperation through fear, harmony through the promise of annihilation. It wasn't the peace he had expected, but it was peace. And in a galaxy full of species that had spent millennia fighting each other, perhaps that was enough. Outside his window, human ships prepared for another peacekeeping mission. Somewhere in the distant Dakari system, a species was about to learn the most important lesson in the modern galaxy. The best defense is making sure you never need one.